Today I'm going to show you which animals could, without a shadow of a doubt, defeat a sperm whale. And before you say anything, yes, we're talking about the sperm whale, that giant of the deep that for centuries terrified sailors and hunters, the largest toothed predator on the planet. And yet, there are creatures that could take it down. But first, let's understand what we're dealing with. Because to talk about what can defeat a sperm whale, we first need to understand what makes this animal so extraordinarily difficult to kill. The sperm whale, known scientifically as Physeter macrocephalus, is the largest toothed cetacean on the face of the earth. Males reach up to 24 meters in length and can weigh close to 50 metric tons. Females are smaller, around 14 meters and approximately 25 tons. But even the females are colossal animals compared to virtually anything else in the ocean today. Its head accounts for nearly 1/3 of its total body length, and that is no accident. Inside it carries a substance called spermaceti, an oil that acts as an incredibly precise biological sonar system. The sperm whale can emit clicks reaching 230 decibels, making it the loudest animal on the planet. To put that into perspective, a taking-off airplane generates around 140 decibels. The sperm whale surpasses that by a wide margin. That head is also its weapon. When a sperm whale rams with its forehead, it generates a devastating force. In fact, there are historical records of wooden ships sunk by sperm whale strikes. The most famous case is that of the whaling ship Essex in 1820, a 238-ton vessel that was sunk in the Pacific by a male sperm whale. That real event inspired the novel Moby Dick. In its lower jaw, it has between 20 and 26 enormous teeth, each weighing up to 1 kilogram. Interestingly, sperm whales only have functional teeth in the lower jaw. The upper jaw has sockets where those teeth fit, but it does not generate an active bite. Even so, that lower jaw is easy enough to tear apart a giant squid several meters long in a matter of seconds. And speaking of giant squids, the sperm whale can dive to depths of 3,000 meters and hold its breath for more than 90 minutes. That makes it one of the most extraordinary divers in the animal kingdom. Down there, in total darkness and under crushing pressure, it hunts giant squids that also fight back. Sperm whales have been found with suction cup scars from giant squids measuring up to 10 centimeters in diameter. So this animal is no pushover. It fights every single day. From 1800 to 1987, sperm whales were the primary target of the commercial whaling industry, which nearly wiped them out entirely. Today, their populations are still recovering slowly. They are social animals that travel in family groups, communicate with each other through dialects specific to their region of the ocean, and raise their young collectively. Very few, but not none. These are the 6 animals that, under the right conditions, could defeat a sperm whale. Number 6. Orcas. And I already know what you're thinking. A single orca against a sperm whale. No chance. We're talking about an animal that weighs between 4 and 6 tons up against a 50-ton beast. Mathematically, it makes no sense. But orcas don't fight alone. Never. Orcas, or Orcinus orca, are technically the largest dolphin on the planet. They are not whales, even though they are called killer whales. They are toothed cetaceans just like the sperm whale, but with a completely different profile. While the sperm whale is built for the deep, the orca is built for hunting in open water. And what makes them truly dangerous is not size. It's the brain. Orcas have one of the largest and most complex brains in the animal kingdom, with an encephalization quotient that places them just behind humans among non-primate mammals. They learn hunting techniques, teach them to their young, and develop different strategies depending on the prey. Some pods specialize in hunting sharks. Others specialize in large whales. Others hunt seals on the shoreline. Each group has its own culture. Against a sperm whale, the orca strategy is methodical and calculated. First, they surround the animal to cut off its escape routes. Then they attack in waves, keeping the sperm whale at the surface to exhaust it, because it needs to dive deep to find refuge, and they cannot allow that. Then they go for the weak points, the eyes, which are large and exposed, and the flippers, which if damaged, leave the sperm whale without control of its movement. In 2013, off the coast of Sri Lanka, an attack by a pod of orcas on a group of sperm whales was documented. The pressure was constant and sustained. And in California, an even more remarkable confrontation was recorded, 35 orcas against 9 sperm whales. The result was 1 sperm whale dead and several seriously injured. The orcas suffered damage too, but they prevailed. There is something that needs to be said clearly. Sperm whales know this threat. When they detect orcas, they adopt a defensive formation known as the marguerite, in which the adults form a circle with their tails facing outward and the calves protected in the center. It is an evolutionary response that has been perfecting itself for millions of years. But even so, if the pod of orcas is large enough and persistent enough, the formation eventually breaks apart. With enough numbers and the right strategy, the orcas win. Not always. but they have done it. And that puts them on this list without question. Number 5. Deinosuchus. Imagine the largest crocodile that ever existed. Not the river crocodile you know today, which is already one of the most dangerous animals on the planet. We're talking about something on a completely different scale. Deinosuchus lived between 82 and 73 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous, in what is now North America. It measured between 8 and 10 meters according to the most widely accepted estimates, although some specimens may have reached 12 meters. It weighed between 2 and 5 tons. And its name in Greek means exactly what it sounds like: terrible crocodile. Deinosuchus fossils show that its teeth were thick, robust, and curved, perfectly adapted to seize large prey and not let go. These were not cutting teeth like a shark's. They were teeth made for grabbing, holding, and drowning. Its bite force is estimated among the highest of any known animal of its time, possibly comparable to that of a Tyrannosaurus rex. Its skin was armored with osteoderms, bony plates embedded in the dermis that functioned as natural armor. This made it extraordinarily difficult to wound from the outside. And its nervous system, like that of all crocodilians, was capable of detecting vibrations in the water with exceptional precision thanks to sensory structures on its snout known as integumentary sense organs, or ISOs. Now, we have to be honest. Against a fully grown male sperm whale weighing 50 tons, Deinosuchus was significantly smaller. In a direct fight in open water, the odds would not be in its favor. For this fight to be realistic, conditions matter: a young sperm whale, shallow coastal waters, and a surprise attack. But under those conditions, Deinosuchus was lethal. Its favorite technique was the ambush. Waiting completely still, sometimes for hours, and then striking with explosive speed when the prey least expected it. Once it seized its victim, it applied the death roll, that signature crocodilian technique where the animal spins on itself to tear and rip parts of the prey's body away. If that happened to the pectoral flipper or the tail of a young sperm whale, the outcome would be irreversible. A killing machine with 200 million years of evolutionary perfection behind it. Under the right circumstances, Deinosuchus could have done it. Number 4. The Mosasaurus. If there is a prehistoric animal that looks like it was pulled straight from a nightmare, it is Mosasaurus hoffmanni, a marine reptile from the Cretaceous that reached 17 meters in length and that, contrary to what many people believe, was not a dinosaur. It was a lizard, a scaled reptile, a distant relative of modern snakes and monitor lizards, that evolved completely for life in the sea. And when we say it evolved completely, we mean it. Its 4 limbs transformed into flippers. Its tail flattened to propel itself through the water. Its lungs allowed it to hold its breath for extended periods, and its jaws developed a characteristic that makes it unique among the great marine predators. It had a second row of teeth on the palate, known as pterygoid teeth, which served to push prey toward the throat once it had seized it. Escape from that mouth was impossible. Mosasaurus hoffmanni fossils show bite marks on giant sea turtles, on other mosasaurs, and on virtually everything that inhabited the Cretaceous seas. It was an opportunistic and aggressive predator that did not discriminate much when it came to the size of its prey. Yes, the sperm whale clearly outweighs it. But the Mosasaurus had something that heavier animals often lack: speed and lateral agility. It could change direction quickly, something a 50-ton animal cannot do easily. It also had something few people know about: abdominal ribs called gastralia, bony structures that protected its internal organs like a second layer of ventral armor. This made it resistant to strikes from below. The Mosasaurus strategy would be clear: avoid the front, work the flanks, and target the flippers or the base of the tail. A well-placed bite on the caudal fin would leave the sperm whale unable to propel itself. And from that point on, with no mobility, unable to dive, the fight would be over. An ancient predator with surprisingly modern tools. Without a doubt, it would have been a fight on a completely different level. Number 3. The Pliosaurus, also known to scientists as Predator X. And that name is no coincidence. It was discovered in 2006 on the Svalbard Islands in the Norwegian Arctic, and its discovery changed what paleontologists thought they knew about the great marine predators of the Jurassic. Pliosaurus funki lived approximately 147 million years ago. During the late Jurassic, when the seas were warm and filled with enormous life, it measured between 10 and 13 meters in length and is estimated to have weighed around 40 to 50 tons. We are talking about an animal practically as massive as a modern sperm whale, but with a fundamental difference in its body architecture. The Pliosaurus was not a slender reptile like the Mosasaurus. It was compact, muscular, with a short neck and a gigantic head that accounted for an enormous proportion of its total mass. Its skull measured nearly 2 meters in length, and inside that skull were some of the most imposing teeth of the Jurassic, with a bite force estimated at around 33,000 pounds per square inch, according to studies published in the scientific journal Acta Geoscientica Sinica. To put that number into perspective, a saltwater crocodile, which has the strongest bite of any living animal today, generates around 3,700 pounds per square inch. The Plesiosaurus nearly multiplies that by 10. Its 4 enormous flippers gave it exceptional propulsion and maneuverability. Unlike fish, which propel themselves with their tails, the Plesiosaurus used its 4 flippers like oars, allowing it to accelerate in any direction with speed. Against a sperm whale, the Plesiosaurus would be a rival in terms of mass, but in pure firepower, it had the clear advantage. The sperm whale would attempt its head ram, its primary weapon, but the Plesiosaurus, with its lateral maneuverability, would be capable of dodging it and counterattacking by targeting the flippers or the soft flank of the abdomen. With a bite of that magnitude, a single well-placed strike could be decisive. Predator X is not a nickname given lightly. It is the result of millions of years of evolution toward perfection as a marine predator, and it would have represented an absolutely real threat to any sperm whale. Number 2. Leviathan melville. And this is where things get really interesting. Because if up until now we were talking about reptiles, sharks, and giant crocodiles, Leviathan was something completely different. It was a whale, a predatory whale. It was discovered in 2008 in the Pisco Desert in Peru, and its formal description was published in the journal Nature in 2010. The name Leviathan comes from the biblical Leviathan, the most feared beast of the sea in Scripture. And Melville is a tribute to Herman Melville, the author of Moby Dick. The scientists had a sense of humor, and also a great deal of respect for what they were looking at. Leviathan lived between 12 and 13 million years ago, during the Miocene, in what is now the South American Pacific coast. It measured between 13 and 17 meters in length and weighed around 50 tons. Physically, it was comparable to the modern sperm whale in size. But that is where the similarities end. Leviathan had teeth in both the upper and lower jaw, something the modern sperm whale does not have. And those teeth were monumental. The largest reached 36 centimeters in length, including the root. They are the largest functional teeth of any known animal in the history of the planet. Not even the megalodon, which had longer teeth, used them as directly as Leviathan did, because the megalodon cut and tore while Leviathan bit and held like a trap. The modern sperm whale uses its teeth primarily to grip squid. Leviathan used its teeth to seize and kill other large whales. That is a completely different predatory profile. Its jaw musculature must have been extraordinary to support those teeth and generate the force needed to pierce through the blubber, fat, and muscle of another large whale. Furthermore, studies on Leviathan's morphology suggest it was more agile and faster than the modern sperm whale. The sperm whale has evolved toward specialization in deep diving, sacrificing horizontal speed. Leviathan appears to have been a hunter of surface and mid-water depths, where attack speed and power mattered more than diving depth. In a direct confrontation, the modern sperm whale might attempt its head ram. But Leviathan, being equally large and far faster, could anticipate it, dodge it, and respond with a bite to the flippers or the side. With 36-centimeter teeth, a deep bite to the abdominal area of a sperm whale would be incapacitating within minutes. Leviathan was, in essence, the sperm whale evolved toward pure killing. An absolute apex predator that made the modern sperm whale its regular prey. There is no possible debate about who would win that confrontation. And number 1. The Megalodon. The largest shark that has ever existed in the history of life on Earth. The predator that turned the ocean into its territory for more than 20 million years without anything being able to challenge it consistently. And the only animal on this list against which the sperm whale, no matter how much it weighs or how long it is, would have had the lowest chances of surviving. Otodus megalodon lived between 23 and 3 million years ago, from the Miocene to the end of the Pliocene, in virtually every ocean on the planet. It was a globally distributed shark, something very few megapredators have ever achieved. Its fossil teeth have been found on every continent except Antarctica, which gives an idea of just how omnipresent it was. The most rigorous studies on its size, based on the relationship between tooth size and body length in modern sharks such as the great white, estimate that the megalodon measured between 13 and 15 meters, according to the most conservative models. Although some studies published in journals such as Historical Biology point to specimens that may have exceeded 18 meters. It weighed between 30 and 65 tons depending on the estimation model used. Its teeth measured up to 18 centimeters in length. But what matters is not so much the size of the tooth as what it could do with it. The megalodon's bite force has been estimated in biomechanical studies published in the Journal of Zoology at between 108,000 and 182,000 newtons, equivalent to around 40,000 pounds per square inch. It is the most powerful bite that has ever existed in the history of animal life on Earth. Above the Pliosaurus, above the Tyrannosaurus rex, above everything. And here is the definitive proof of why the megalodon tops this list. It hunted whales. This is not a theory, not speculation. It is direct fossil evidence. Miocene whale vertebrae have been found with bite marks that match the megalodon's teeth perfectly. Scientists have identified attack patterns indicating that the megalodon first targeted the flippers and bony areas to immobilize its prey before delivering the final blow. It was a sophisticated technique, not a blind charge. The modern sperm whale is a deep-water diver that hunts squid. The megalodon was an open-water whale hunter. The difference between these two profiles is enormous. The sperm whale was not evolutionarily prepared to face a predator of that caliber. The megalodon was faster in sprints, with peak speed estimates of up to 18 kilometers per hour, surpassing the sperm whale's 10 to 12 kilometers per hour at the surface, and its bite could pierce through the thickest bones of any whale with relative ease. The sperm whale might attempt its head ram, and in some scenarios, if it connected fully, it could cause real damage even to a megalodon. But for that to happen, the sperm whale would have to detect the shark in time, position itself correctly, and build up enough speed against a predator that attacks from the flank at superior speeds and with a bite that can pierce bone. That counterattack comes too late in most scenarios. The megalodon had no confirmed natural predators during its period of dominance. It was the apex of the apex, and for that reason, without any possible debate, it leads this list as number one. And look, the sperm whale remains one of the most extraordinary animals on the planet today. That needs to be said clearly. It survived nearly 2 centuries of systematic commercial hunting that reduced its populations to critical levels. It dominates the ocean depths like no other mammal. It has a complex social intelligence, with regional dialects and family structures that scientists are still working to understand. And it remains the largest toothed predator in the world today, with nothing even close. But the history of life on Earth is long. And in that history, there have been creatures before which even the sperm whale would have had to back down. That does not make it any less impressive. On the contrary, it makes the question of what could take it down even more fascinating. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. And if you want to find out which are the most lethal predators living in the oceans right now, that video is already here waiting for you. Till next time.